Hey guys, what's up? It's Emily. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. God, I have a lot of energy this morning. It is Saturday. It is almost 1 o'clock. Jean-Luc went to work early this morning, so I've been alone all day so far. Oh, I didn't put my ring on. What message is that sending? I just had like a chaperone dance off by myself, and I feel great. I feel invigorated. I feel ready to buy books. There's a lot of book shopping vlogs on here, and that's great. I love that reading has become cool again because I think it's so important for not only our mental health, but to expand our minds, expand our imaginations, expand our empathy. There are ways to read books that don't involve buying books all the time. Now, I occasionally will go book shopping, obviously, but I do like to be intentional about new hard copies of books that I'm buying, just because there's a lot of waste that goes into book buying. I talk about it in my physical TBR video, which I can link somewhere here. It's pretty astounding, like the amount of waste and contribution to climate change just like excessively buying books creates and does. So I just wanted to, before we go book shopping, I just wanted to say that I have been really intentional about the physical copies of books that I buy. Rather than buying a physical copy of a book, you can listen to an audiobook, you can borrow a friend's book, you can download it on your Kindle. There's a great resource called Libby, which is like an online library card, and you can rent audiobooks on there. You can also rent Kindle versions of books on there. There is nothing like having a physical copy of a book, I have to say, but you know, it's like reading on a Kindle is totally fine. Like, it gets the job done. Listening to audiobooks is also great because you can do it like when you're doing something else. Like, I can't read a book and wash the dishes, but I can listen to an audiobook and wash the dishes, for example. Hold for plane. I do want to buy a few new books. I feel like I finally am feeling a little more like invigorated and inspired to read again. I went through a bit of a slump. I have a few releases in mind that I would just love to own. Okay, anyway, let's stop wasting time. Let's go to the bookstore. I wish I lived closer to the Rip Bodice. I would definitely go there. I think I'm just gonna go to McNally Jackson. We've been there before on this channel, but if you haven't, if you're new to this channel, McNally Jackson is an independent, I think independent. I don't want to say something that's incorrect. Yes, it's an independent bookstore with 5 New York locations. I have a habit of just like yapping beyond how much I need to. So I'm going to go to the bookstore now. I'm hungry though. I want to eat first. Let's go. So Jean-Luc found this jacket on the street in Victoria, Canada, and kind of slays. Hold on. I'm not a fan of just like taking random stuff off the street, but Victoria's clean, and like, I don't know, this slaps. It's like 79 degrees out though. Maybe I shouldn't wear this. I should probably not wear this. Okay, I'm gonna go with the classic, whatever this is. Okay, I'm gonna bring my Terry Hobo bag from Coach. I made a video on this. It's like my by far most viewed video on here. And that's because it's kind of this like viral book bag. It can fit so many books, but it still looks like small, like a little handbag. Andiamo. Hot. It's hotter than I expected it to be. Well. Williamsburg is busy today. It's the first day of fall. It's September 21st. All the trolls are out to play. We all know that the weather, I don't know what my hair is, but I'm just gonna rock with this, honestly. Yeah, I didn't get a ton of footage just because there were so many people in both bookstores I went to. The second one was just kind of like I stopped by, I didn't get anything. Just because I don't want to make people feel uncomfortable if they're just trying to shop for books. I'm really proud of myself. I really took my time in McNally Jackson, and I really wanted to make sure that like each book I purchased, I was really like excited to read it. Like there were a few books that I picked up and I was like, I didn't get that kind of like initial like, oh my god, I cannot wait to read this book. Those are more appropriate for Kindle or audiobook, as I mentioned. So especially like my bookshelf is getting full. Like I don't have space for books that like I'm not totally like in love with. So I am really excited. I will start with the first book I got, which is Valley of the Dolls. I was made aware of this book first by being a Judy Garland fan, because Judy Garland was cast in this movie. I think it was a 1967 movie, but then she ended up not doing it. I just remember seeing those screen tests for her in that part, and she looked so good. Like I loved her wardrobe, or what would have been her wardrobe in that movie. And I did watch the movie, but a really long time ago. I must have been like 18, so I don't really remember anything. But I've been wanting to read this book for a really long time. It was written in 1966 by Jacqueline Susan. I guess I will read the back for you. At a time when women were destined to become housewives, Jacqueline Susan, I think it's Jacqueline, it could be Jacqueline, I'm not sure, let us dream. Anne, Neely, and Jennifer were ambitious young women in New York City who become best friends as they struggle to make their mark. Eventually they climb their way to the top of the entertainment industry, only to find that there's no place left to go but down, into the Valley of the Dolls. 5 decades after it was originally published in 1966, Valley of the Dolls remains the all-time pop culture classic, a pioneering work that tackled women's rights, gay rights, drug addiction, and the male literary establishment with singular flair, going on to become one of the world's most popular novels and an influence on generations of cultural icons. Power, money, celebrity, and the deadly seduction of prescription pills 50 years on, a bedtime dose of Valley of the Dolls is just as indispensable and just as gloriously, scandalously fun as ever. The only thing that I'm upset about is like the original cover is so much cuter. I will leave it here so you can see. I'm really excited to read this. I feel like this is definitely like in the canon of literature that I am very interested in. Okay, the next book I got, so I'm right now listening to my first Kristen Hanna book. I'm listening to Four Winds. I really walked into McNally Jackson today wanting to purchase The Nightingale, but that was like the one Kristen Hanna book they didn't have. The next book I want to read is The Women, but they only have the hard copy, and like I don't want the hardcover. Recently I watched a Sarah Caroli video, and she read The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna, and part of the reason it took me so long at McNally Jackson is because I also looked up like all of the ratings for like every single book I picked up on Goodreads, and like all of the Kristen Hanna books have amazing ratings. Like majority are 5-star, at least the past like 4 she's written. So I decided to go with The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. I guess I'll read this next, and then I'll read The Nightingale, and then I'll read The Women. I'm not sure. But I do want to read all of these books, and I also want to read Firefly Lane, even though I watched the TV show. I don't know. It was like a year or 2 ago. I don't really remember it. Anyway, I think it's good to start getting into historical fiction too. I don't read a lot of historical fiction. So this takes place in Alaska in 1974. I do not know much about Alaska, so that's another reason why I'm excited to read this. The Albrights are in a family crisis. They are alone, living off the grid in a harsh and unforgiving wilderness. Ernst Albright has come home from the Vietnam War, a changed and volatile man, and has made the impulsive decision to move his wife and daughter north to America's last true frontier. Another reason I want to read this book, and I think The Women is also about the Vietnam War, is like in school, and I went to like a good public school in New Jersey. Like we just learned so much about the Revolutionary War and like the Civil War, and then like the amount we learned about like World War I and World War II was fine. They brushed over the Vietnam War and the Cold War. I want to learn more about those wars, especially because I feel like they're relevant today. I want to read more about the Vietnam War and the Cold War and like that time period and politics during that time period. And I know that this book isn't necessarily like about the war, but you can still learn about the war by reading a story about the war's aftermath on a family, if that makes sense. So anyway, I digress. Cora Albright will do anything for the man she loves, even if it means following him into the unknown. Into the unknown! 13-year-old Lenny, caught in the riptide of her parents' passion, stormy relationship, has little choice but to go along, daring to hope this new land promises her family a better future. Even though they have found a small independent community of strong men and even stronger women, winter's approaching, darkness is descending, and Ernst's fragile mental state is deteriorating. Soon the perils outside pale in comparison to threats from within. In their small cabin covered in snow, blanketed in 18 hours of night, Lenny and her mother learn the terrible truth: they are on their own. In the wild, there is no one to save them but themselves. This sweeping, unforgettable portrait of human frailty and resilience spans the decades in a place of incomparable beauty and danger, where a family learns the truth about the wilderness that lives in both man and nature. I'm excited. I also, when I was watching Sarah Corley read it, she cried, and I love when books make me cry. So I'm like really excited. I hear great things. I love the cover too. It like reminds me of like Oz a little bit. I don't know. And then this next book I actually got for Jean-Luc because, well, we both are very creative people, but he is a music producer, he's a film producer, film director. For the past few years, he's really been working on a lot of other people's creative projects. That's what he's been hired to do, to produce them, to direct them, to edit them, etc. You know, he was saying, he's like, I really want, you know, now to make my own creative projects a priority, and like to do that, I need to get in touch with what I want to make creatively, because I don't know, like, you know, he's just been working on everyone else's kind of visions and projects and stuff, and he's so good at it. But, you know, he expressed he really wants to get in touch with like with what he wants to make. Outside of that, he was talking with his friend on the phone the other day, and the book The Artist's Way came up, and this is a book that I also have been wanting to read for a long time. I know about morning pages and all of that stuff. It's a book that is really meant to get you in touch with that part of yourself. So I got it to surprise him, and this, I love this 30th anniversary edition. It's like, I don't know if you can see, it's just, I don't know, it's like matte and like gold, and it's really nice. So I did get this for Jean-Luc, but I'm also gonna read it. No matter what your age or your life path, whether making art is your career or your hobby or your dream, it is not too late or too egotistical or too selfish or too silly to work on your creativity. The Artist's Way is a seminal book on the subject of creativity, an international bestseller. It has inspired millions to overcome the limiting beliefs and fears that can inhibit the creative process. Perhaps even more vital in today's cultural climate than when it was first published 30 years ago. Probably published around when I was born, because I'm almost 30. The Artist's Way is a powerfully provocative and inspiring work. In it, Julia Cameron takes readers on an amazing 12-week journey to discover the inextricable link between their spiritual and creative selves. This groundbreaking program includes an introduction to two of Cameron's most vital tools for creative recovery, the morning pages and the artist state, hundreds of highly effective exercises and activities, guidance on starting a creative cluster of fellow artists who will support you in your creative endeavors, a revolutionary program for artistic renewal from the world's foremost authority on the creative process. The Artist's Way is a life-changing book. I'm really excited to give this to him when he comes home today, and also kind of take a look at it myself. And I just wanted to share, I purchased a few books recently on the internet that I have not included in a haul. I read 2 of them already in a past reading vlog, but I just wanted to share really quick. And then the other one is my book of the month pick for September. This is Wild Eyes. This is by Elsie Silver. It is the second book of the Rose Hill series, which just came out. This second book, I think the third book comes out in March. I read the first book and I wasn't absolutely crazy about it. This book, I mean, it was good. I think I gave it like a 4-star, honestly. This was definitely my preference by far out of the 2. It's about this young woman, this famous singer who has dealt with some toxic situations, dynamics in her life, and so she goes to Rose Hill, where it's like this woodsy place in Canada, to record a new album that's like all her own, with Ford Grant, who is the main character in the first book. There's another character in the first book, Rose, who has a brother called West, and so West is like the potential love interest in this book. So it's Skylar the singer and West. West has these 2 children, he's divorced, and like the way the kids are written is so funny and so cute. This book just, it gripped me right, like from the beginning. I absolutely loved it. You can also get it for 20% off on Amazon. I will leave that link in the description below. Another book I got recently is The Battle of Never After, because I finally read the first Once Upon a Broken Heart book. These books are really good. They're really fast. It's like Sarah J Maas, but like in a pink puffy cloud. Yeah, I really did enjoy this book. It flew by. I read it maybe in 2 days. I don't want to speak too much on it because it is the second book of the series. I mean, this is a super popular series, so if you haven't read it already, I definitely recommend it. I'm reading the third one now on my Kindle. And then the last book I got is my September Book of the Month book, which is Mad Woman. I'm kind of regretting I didn't get Blue Sisters. I feel like I'm seeing that everywhere, and I don't know. But this book originally sounded more interesting to me, so maybe it's good that I went with what I actually felt was more interesting to me and didn't go with what everyone is telling me is more interesting. I feel like that happens sometimes in the book community, which isn't necessarily like a bad thing, but it's just something I like to be aware of. Anyway, Clove has gone to extremes to keep her past a secret. Thanks to her lies, she landed the life of her dreams, complete with a safe husband and 2 adoring children who will never know the terror that was routine in her childhood. If her buried anxiety threatens to breach the surface, Clove, if that is really her name, focuses on finding the right supplement, the right gratitude meditation. But when she receives a letter from a woman's prison in California, her past comes screeching into the present, entangling her in a dangerous game with memory and the people she thought she had outrun. As the story races between her precarious present-day life in Portland, Oregon, and her childhood with her mother and father, Clove is forced to finally unravel the defining day of her life. How did she survive that day, and what will it take to end the cycle of violence? Will the truth undo her, or could it ultimately save her? As with all books, definitely just check like content warnings and trigger warnings if you have any type of content that is not good for you to read. But I don't know, I love the cover too. Those are the books. That's my haul. I am excited to read these and let you guys know what I think about them. I am really excited about The Great Alone and Valley of the Dolls. I'm happy with my purchases. I feel like these are I'm letting myself stray from YA a little bit, which is good. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any other book recommendations for this fall, please let me know. I'm always curious to learn what you guys are all reading. So I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I think this is releasing the beginning of the week, so yeah, have a wonderful week and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.